We'll let the record show that it's 6:05. I'll call to order the special call meeting of the Durant City Council of November the 7th, 2017. I'm going to ask our Chief of Police, David Hauser, if he would, to lead us in an invocation, please.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful day that you've given us, the beautiful weather, although ever changing, just like, unlike you, Lord, that's always the same, Lord, every day in and day out. Lord, we ask for blessings upon this service here today, our council meeting, Lord. Just give wisdom to the council leaders that you've put over the city, Lord, that they would make good, promising decisions, Lord, and also ask you, Lord, to be with Mike Cobb and his family, Lord, and his loss and his passing, Lord. As a city employee, it's always tough, to lose friends and families and employees. Lord, be with their family through this tragedy. Lord, just bless our time here tonight, Lord, in peace and in comfort and just in your will. In Jesus' name I pray.
Man, thank you, Chief, and this city and this council is ever mindful of those suffering and loss as we speak all around our country, and particularly our men and women in service. I want to ask that we stand, those that can, for our flag salute, led by the Vice Mayor. Our agenda calls for, we call for the roll call. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Here.
Councilmember Ruby. Here. Councilmember Dills.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Here.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Here, for the record, all council members are present. We have a full body, and of course we have a quorum. Our first order of business and our only order of business this afternoon or this evening is to consider a resolution number 2017-22, a resolution of the Durant City Council disapproving and censuring certain actions of council member Ms. Gruby. I want to take a minute, if I can, and briefly FYI, maybe some folks in the audience, but some 2 or 3 months ago, as a matter of fact, in September, the city was advised by our insurer, OMAG, the Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group, of some potential legal issues. We've also sought the advice of our own city attorney. In saying that, the council met in executive session September the 12th, and anyone can correct me if I miss a date or a time, and began addressing those concerns and those issues regarding certain actions. That could have ended or could still potentially have certain legality or legal issues and potential lawsuit actions taken against the city. The city and the council, as the stewards of the city government, and trying to do due diligence and be prudent in our decisions, did meet, as I mentioned, in that executive session, and communicated with Ms. Gruby our concerns, the issues, the potential of lawsuits, and was prepared at that time to actually consider a censure. I want to be clear that censure is not a censor. We are not censoring or considering censoring anyone, but the definition of censure might be explained a little later. But I think out of consideration and our deliberations that evening, we came out of there and had determined not to do that at that time, to give the opportunity for further consideration, both on council's part, both on legal's part, and both on Ms. Gruby's behalf. Several meetings have occurred, both with legal counsel, with the council, with Ms. Gruby's attorney, etc. And we are where we are this evening. There will be an amendment to the censure considered Attachment A. I think I'll allow our city attorney to explain that more, but if you're following along on the agenda, we have a memo from the mayor, from the city councilor, attorney. The above referenced agenda item, if adopted, publicly acknowledges the council's disapproval of the actions taken by Council Member Gruby. Censuring a council member puts the members and the public on notice that the council finds that the members or the member has violated the code of conduct for council members. I might add that OMAG, in their visits with us, recommended a code of conduct and protocol. This council had already considered just prior to that and adopted a code of conduct and protocol. To continue reading, has violated the code of conduct for council members, state statute, municipal policy, or other standard by which the council holds itself. Censuring a council member does not in itself limit that member and the member's right to sit or vote on council matters. The adoption of the censure resolution may, however, prevent the member from serving on authorities, boards, committees, and commissions as a council member. Note the word may. It does not say will not or cannot. In briefly trying to outline why we're here this evening, we'd rather not even be considering this. But we are where we are. In saying that, I want to defer now to legal. And Tom, do you have anything that I may have overlooked or that we need to add?
Maybe just briefly, Mr. Mayor. I think it's important to recognize here that, as the mayor alluded to, a censure is not the same as a censor. If the council adopts this resolution, it in no way limits Councilperson Gruby's right to sit on the council, right to vote, right to present resolutions or ordinances. It is merely a public rebuke, a public acknowledgement that Councilperson Gruby, if the council adopts this, has done things that the council doesn't agree with, not in policy. This doesn't have any implication for policy differences. We've got 5 council members with potentially 5 different policy ideas. This doesn't have anything to do with that. This sort of originated when back over the summer and into the early fall, we had not 1, not 2, but 10 plus city employees that expressed displeasure over Councilperson Gruby in particular and the way she treated city employees, the effects that her actions specifically were having on city employees and their work environment. It was to the point that city management felt that claims by these city employees for hostile work environment were imminent, and those potential claims were referred to our insurance carrier. The city is covered by a liability insurance carrier, Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group, and in recognizing the potential for claims, the insurer sent down an investigator, an attorney, and that attorney spoke with at least 10 employees from the city. I think it's fair to say that she was shocked. She specifically said in her 40 years of doing this that she had never seen worse actions and more egregious acts by an elected official. And some of the employees with whom she spoke couldn't even finish a brief interview because they were in tears over the hostile work environment.
We won't have that. I'll even ask you to be removed before we continue if you're going to do that. I don't know who it was. We're not going to have that. This is a serious matter. Please continue, Councilman.
And based on the findings of that, essentially a neutral third party, it's not attached to the council or the city, but an insurance carrier that does have some skin in the game. If they find that claims are legitimate, they're the ones that are going to have to pay. And so they found that these potential claims from these employees were significant enough to make some findings. And our insurer made some findings, made some recommendations to the city through the mayor. And it's based on those recommendations that the censure resolution comes about. I think it's important to note that the investigator didn't find that a portion of the employees interviewed had problems, but each and every one. So that's where the censure resolution comes from. This is a procedure that has a lengthy history in our country. Fortunately, it's not used very often, but it is used when the majority of the membership of a legislative body takes issue with not the policy direction of a member, but the actions of a member and how it affects that legislative body in their perception to the public or in other matters. So it's something that's serious. It's something that is not taken lightly by this council. I'm certain in discussing it with the members. And like I said, I don't believe that it is meant to and shouldn't be meant to in any way censor the council person from promoting the policy positions that she has. It's simply a way to express a displeasure with the methods in which she conducts herself.
City Attorney, do you have anything to add to that? Or I think it's mindful that, and I think maybe you alluded to it, but it's clear to the council of the potential liability that hangs over the city, and that's a portion of what we're trying to address here. If we don't recognize it, then again, I think the city councilor referred to it, that the city is liable for not taking any action. And if the city attorney has no further information to provide. I will ask for consideration of Resolution 2017-22 to be considered and ask if there's a motion. If we have a motion and a second, then there will be discussion. Is that correct, Mr. City Attorney?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2017-22 to amend that to include on page 1 in the fourth whereas to read as follows. After where it says disrespectful, to include as set forth in Exhibit A attached hereinto.
Second.
And my question again, or would be, I'm sorry, I didn't have, which whereas?
It's the fourth one.
I see, okay.
To clarify, that's the letter from the attorney that conducted the investigation.
Which is attachment A, which I've referred to, and I believe the city attorney referred to, and which is now being added as an amendment,
Correct.
as I understand it on the motion.
Mr. Mayor, if I might add, that Exhibit A or Attachment A is the letter from the attorney for OMAG, who is actually an attorney who represents the city. As previously discussed by the council, that is an attorney-client privilege document. No single member can waive that privilege, but if that exhibit is adopted, that is a waiver of attorney-client privilege with regard to that document, and it becomes public record.
That was my question.
Council,
So
understand.
that will be public record immediately. Okay.
And I believe that's the prudent thing to do. I think it fully supports why we have this censure.
We had a motion, and did we
Second.
have a second? Any? Okay, no questions as far as the motion and the reference to the whereas and the Exhibit A. Okay. Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I would like to say something. Please. I'd like to try to stand if I can make this microphone. Can everybody hear me?
Make sure you push your button.
Can you hear me? Yes. I don't know if I can do three things at once. I want to try to read a... Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say that I have no animosity toward any of my fellow council members. They, I think, are going to base a decision based on the information they were given, which, by the way, I was not interviewed in this investigation. I was not interviewed. I knew nothing about it until I was told. There are 10 unnamed women in here, which I don't know who they are, that I'm supposed to have scared to death, I guess. But with that being said, I have no animosity because I think these fellow members are acting on what they think they should be acting on. I do think I should have been given the right to have been interviewed. With that being said, I want to make this real. Don't look, Tom, it's short. First of all, I'd like to say good evening to all of you fellow citizens here. It's wonderful to see such a big crowd of people here. Oklahoma law places specific and narrow limitations on the actions of council members for good reason. A person's freedom of speech can be abridged only in such specific and narrow instances. In this case, Oklahoma law lists 3 things a council member may not do. I am not guilty of violating any of the restrictions placed on me as a council member by Oklahoma law. The allegations listed in the resolution before us, they're vague and provide the citizens of Durant with no specific information such that they could determine for themselves if I'm guilty or not. Any judge in a court of law would require that allegations against me to include the basic information in a logical argument: who, what, when, and where. I am merely the latest voice that the city is trying to silence, standing behind brave city employees who have lost their jobs, been suspended, or demoted. The city council members sitting beside me have seen emails, listened to the public comments, and sat silent. I refuse to do so. The council and city manager have fought me from the time I announced that I was running for city council. I have never been given a chance. I believe in transparency and keeping the citizens informed, and that includes the right to make public information public and question that what is motivating the retaliation against whistleblowers or inquiring into investigations. It also includes the right to question the public expenditures of your money. You entrusted me to bring transparency and accountability, and I have fought hard to do this. The council can vote to censor me on false and scurrilous allegations. There's nothing I can do about it. City Attorney Markham told me and my attorney that I was ambushed in the September 12th executive session, and I survived that, so I will survive this also. So let he who is without sin cast the first stone, but be assured I will not stop fighting for the citizens and questioning what these members and city manager are sweeping under the rug. I was elected by you, the citizens, just like the other members were, and I intend to continue working to make this an even better city. You, the citizens, have put your faith and hope in me, and I promise you tonight, no matter how rough or tough things get, I will never, ever resign. Thank you.
Council members have any comments or discussion?
And I guess I'll just repeat for the sake of repeating it. We're censuring, not censoring, keeping anybody from saying anybody representing people who elected them. I think there's still some confusion on that.
You know, I want Miss Gribby to know that she refers to no animosity to council members. I have no animosity towards Miss Gribby. I don't think any council member has any animosity towards Miss Gribby. This is about the truth. It's about the facts. It's about responsibility. It's not about retaliation. It is about transparency. It is about the truth. And I sense I'm, like preaching to the choir with some of the responses I see. But I know there are folks that believe that this council membership is honorable, trying to do the right thing. I've had the opportunity over almost 20 years to work with several councils, and each and every one has worked hard and struggled hard to do the honorable and the right thing at all times. And I say that with sincerity, I say it with honesty, I say it with character, and I say it with dignity. Any other discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne,
Aye.
Councilmember Ruby,
Am I voting to censor myself? No.
Councilmember Dills,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock,
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye. Motion carries. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Second? The clerk will record the vote, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. Just an FYI, the attachment copies are available for the media and the press and anybody in the audience or the public.